From the mid-70s to the early 1980s, Larry Fast, aka Synergy, was the foremost American exponent of electronic music. Between 1975 and 1981, he released 6 albums on Passport Records, and from the third of those, the 1978 release Chords, the track Phobos and Deimos Go to Mars. I love that bass line right there, that angular part. Do 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 do. How it plays against the synth sound that we're hearing. Let's unpack this. First, we've got like 3 main layers here. We've got the really bright, like bright as like fluorescent light type keyboard core, like synth chords that are playing right front and center. We've got that kind of percussive, echoey, like electro percussive sound. And we've also got the bass line that's coming in here and there, like synth bass line. And now we've got a different synth tone, slightly more trebly, kind of fizzy, coming in sort of mid-range. I wonder how he's creating that percussive sound, that I know that back in the day, like 78, thereabouts, creating some of these sounds was very difficult. It's not like 10 years later where they could have just sampled and looped it all. Hear that really fast line, that beautiful G minor tonality, exploring it with these different sounds, these different tonal colors. And there we were exploring F, the tonality of F with similar, color and nuance. That's a real grand chordal passage right there. Now some sound is really rising up high. It seems like it's about to envelope everything. But then instead we had kind of a dropout. I think the concept here is that Phobos get their turn and then Deimos get their turn. Yeah, part 1 Phobos, part 2 Deimos. So we've been hearing Phobos, we're about to hear about Deimos. I wonder if this got played in discos. Like in some of the edgier disco clubs, maybe kind of later in the evening as people were kind of just chilling. Like, do you think that maybe Giorgio Moroder's stuff from around this time could have been a gateway to music like this for some of the more adventurous listeners out there? What I admire about this track is that it's not just tonal colors, and the tonal colors are beautiful, but there's more of that. There's some actual like compositional depth to this too. I mean, this could easily be played by like a jazz rock quartet or quintet, and fleshing out like I could see here parts that the bassist, that a bassist and a keyboardist could be exploring, you know, from a harmonic, you know, angle. Now I'm hearing three basic textures once again. I'm hearing the kind of light, the kind of light bright sound that's coming out of this speaker, and I'm hearing that percussive sound once again, and then like the synth bass that's going boom 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 boom. So these are the demos. Boom, 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 boom. That really hyperactive synth tone is probably the demos making sounds, whereas the bass line is the demos just kind of movement, and the synth percussion sounds are just kind of keeping pace of it all. I just realized I've never researched the topic of sound in space, or how loud movement is up in space, or how loud like activity up in space is. Or for that matter, what kind of sounds are recorded. That's a topic, that's something to research. now all the activity is subsiding and a sustain is just taking over. Well, a lot of color, tonally, you know, a lot of melodic harmonic intricacy to take in. Synergy, Larry Fast has mastered two and possibly three great talents all in one. I mean, as a composer, as a sound technician, and a sound shaper and a tonal, you know, because music like this is about like tonal, like color, and but to take that, and people can get lost in that and like not really kind of gloss over like the more harmonic aspects of the music making, and yet he's got it all, like the melodic, the harmonic, and the tonal colorization all down. And Phobos and Deimos are the two moons of Mars. Both were discovered by Asaph Hall in August 1877 and are named after the Greek mythological twin characters Phobos, standing for panic, fear, and Deimos, terror, dread, who accompanied their fathers Eris in the battle. Eris, god of war, was known to the Romans as Mars. And so it's like about the, I guess, the orbit and the activity. It does make me wonder what that movement up in space, what orbiting objects sound like as they move. Anyway, Larry Fast, aka Synergy, from the album Chords, the great track Phobos and Deimos Go to Mars. Why would they need to go to Mars? And that album also has, that song is the second one, second song on the album. It appears on side one. And on side two, we have this other just hypnotic track, Trellis. There's something I find so compelling about the way this goes from like F and then like scales up like an octave, and then G, and then scales up like an octave with those shimmery synths, and then drops into E. That can almost be, maybe that's an F major 7, is what's making it so hypnotic. Like F, but the tonic is definitely F, do, G, octave, E. And just the shimmeriness of it all with that synth bass underneath it. And now we've landed in F sharp. And that's interesting. We go F, G, E, and then F, like F sharp, like that. Wow, we've basically have four like half steps. The half steps between E and G. Of course, there was also a chordal shift up to B flat E, B flat A, but a moment ago. Now, these tones I would describe as kind of icy, whereas the ones we were hearing before were warmer, really dark, like flashing lights of color in the dark, whereas this is feeling a little bit more glacial to me. I guess it's the kind of brightness of the tone as opposed to the darker quality of what we were just hearing. Because we've got like a mixture, we've got this like kind of glowy, bright, sustained tone, and we've also got this really bright, shimmery tone playing over it. Hear the way that one like shimmery tone is just going like kind of like in and out, like it's almost going through an envelope. Because it gets like brighter than kind of. Or kind of like tremolo or kind of reverb laden. And meanwhile, that synth bass is like holding these sustained notes and just like sliding up and down. The term trellis has several meanings. In structures, in architecture anyway, an architectural structure often used to support plants, um, or the trellis drainage pattern, a drainage system. In technology, there's the trellis graph, a special kind of graph used in computer science. The trellis chart, a series or grid of small similar graphics or charts, allowing them to be easily compared. I take it that that Larry Fast was a science buff. It was probably his best topic in school. Science was always one of those topics I found interesting, but I could sometimes get kind of lost in the terminology of it all. Some parts of science were just too mathematical for me. I don't know, lean on that. I was more the history art guy. Now we've kind of gotten locked into this E pattern, this low E, and we've got that bass line that's just doing that circular pattern. Do 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 do. And see, it's beginning like on an odd count within the bar, an odd. Well, that was Synergy with the track Trellis from the album Chords, the 1978 release on Passport Records. Synergy, very much an in-demand session musician from around that time who released 6 albums of his own between 1975 and 1981. His list of credits from around this time is really impressive. It reads like a who's who in the annals of art rock. I mean, he played on albums by Peter Gabriel. He played on the 1977 release by the Intergalactic Touring Band, this all-star recording for Passport Records that had members of Fire Ballet. It had Oh, Annie Haslam singing a track on it. It had Dave Cousins from the Strawbs. It had Meatloaf. It had Ben E. King. Yeah, let's see. He played on the 1976 Dr. Buzzard's original Savannah band, self-titled. He played on the 1976 self-titled Sylvia album. Sylvia Robinson, loved that album. Oh, and a beautiful cover too. Played on Stephen Deese's 1977 album Hip Shot. Yeah, that's a treasure waiting to be heard by more people. Yeah, great blue-eyed soul art rock album. Stephen Deese was Hall & Oates' touring bassist on the tour for Bigger Than Both of Us album. He co-wrote the track Carrie on that album, and Daryl Hall produced that album Hip Shot. Nectar's Magic as a Child, their 1977 release, a good one. Um, played on the final album by Martha Velez. Yeah, the one that came after American Heartbeat, the one that came after the Bob Marley produced Rivers of, or the what was the one before that? Yeah, Escape from Babylon with Disco Night. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Peter Gabriel, the Rainy Windshield album, the Scratch album, and I'm pretty sure the Melting Face album. Yeah, he was a mainstay of pure. Yeah, on Security, he was a mainstay of Gabriel's backing band. Oh, played on Boz Scaggs' Middleman, great. I just love the ground this guy covers. He's one of several keyboardists who contributed to Foreigner 4 alongside Thomas Dolby. Played on the track Breathing on Kate Bush's Never Forever album. And yeah, the guy just got around everywhere. A lot of great credits. Oh, he was on an album by the Good Rats. Yeah, interesting, quirky American roots rock, hard rock band. Anyway, and he was a big mainstay, even though they don't quite have it in this list of credits. He was quite the presence on the 1975 Nectar album, Recycled. Yeah. Yeah, I think he was a member of the band around that time. Yeah, Recycled, great album. One lengthy, like song suite. Um, anyway, for I don't have Synergy's catalog compiled into one directory. Um, because I haven't made a directory of like American electronic artists or really or any broader net to draw him into. So see the directory, the annotated directory of albums from 1978 to see the Rubies and Sapphires from this album, and then just trek through the years, to see some of his other albums, like the 1975 release, oh, the Electronic Realizations for Rock Orchestra, followed by Sequencer in 1976, the 1979 release Games, and the 1981 release Audion. Yeah, his two best albums are Chords and Games. I'll say it right here. Yeah, the 78, 79 double win of those two albums. And like and subscribe and follow me on social media to know when the next video is coming out, and leave a comment if there's any points you would like to make, any sounds that stood out to you, any observations you have, anything that you might know that I didn't touch upon. And until next time, this is Zaragon, the world's most ear-traveled trimaximalist, signing off.